Karl Roberson versus Marvin Vettori takes place on the main card of UFC Fight Night Jacksonville, Smith versus Teixeira, and I can't wait for this fight. This actually is my most anticipated fight on the entire card. I know Smith versus Teixeira is big, don't get me wrong, but we kind of have an understanding on what's going to happen there. These two guys are dead set matched. Great fighters in their own division. Two young guys coming up, not so much on behalf of Karl Roberson, he's 29 years of age. Marvin Vettori a lot younger than him, but in terms of an MMA career, Karl Roberson spends a lot of his time over at kickboxing, then takes to MMA later in life. In terms of an MMA career, he's very young and very new to the game, and he's improving rapidly each time, and so is Marvin Vettori, which is why I love this fight so much. Who's going to be able to improve more? Roberson or Vettori? These are two very evenly matched guys, proven by the fact that they're both exactly the same size, they have exactly the same reach, exactly the same amount of skill, I would say, but some in different areas than others. Marvin Vettori is a little bit more well-rounded. Karl Roberson, I would say, has the edge on the feet, but Marvin Vettori is no slouch on the feet either. Marvin Vettori coming off two huge wins, the two biggest wins of his career, where he dominated Teixeira over 3 rounds, completely schooled him and won every round there, I believe. I think that was a 30-27 unanimous decision, and then again against Andrew Sanchez. Andrew Sanchez is a dangerous guy, was on a win streak before he fought Marvin Vettori, but Marvin Vettori schooled him as well, made him look like a punk, talking shit in the middle of the fight as well. Marvin Vettori versus Karl Roberson is the most slept on fight of the entire week of fights. That's right, UFC 249 included, and UFC Jacksonville. And UFC Jacksonville. There's 2 of them. So it's pretty weird. But either way, out of all of the fights, I think Vettori versus Roberson is not being talked about enough. And I think it needs to be talked about some more, which is why I'm doing it. Marvin Vettori is a talent. He went to a split decision loss with Israel Adesanya and wasn't outclassed on the feet. I know Marvin Vettori in that fight missed a lot of shots, and Adesanya was kind of rolling with a lot of it, but that was a split decision. I thought Adesanya should have won that fight, but Jesus Christ, that was close. Adesanya wasn't able to get so loosey-goosey as he did with Derek Brunson, and Derek Brunson is top of the division. I know Derek Brunson is pretty trash, but even still, Marvin Vettori going to a split decision with Israel Adesanya when Brad Tavares can't even get a close round shows you how talented Marvin Vettori is, and I think he's only learnt since then, and he's been a little bit less impatient, and he puts his finger on the trigger a little bit more and goes for it like he did against Teixeira. Karl Roberson, on the other hand, coming off 2 big wins, one against Wellington Turman by split decision, which wasn't too impressive, but I thought he won the fight. I don't think that should have been a split decision either. And another one against Roman Kopylov as well, who is a dangerous up-and-comer that no one wanted to fight in the UFC, but Karl Roberson took that fight anyway. Karl Roberson has had a tough go of things, even though he's only 9-2. He has fought killers since joining the UFC because no one wants to fight him. No one wants to. They know he has this credentialed kickboxing career. They know he's dangerous on the feet. No one wants to get KO'd. He's got great power as well that he showed against Glover Teixeira. Even though he lost against Glover Teixeira, he took that fight on short notice at light heavyweight. Almost finished Glover in the first round before then getting taken down and arm triangled and choked out. But even still, these two are big, big talents. Karl Roberson is elite on the feet. He's got great leg kicks. He's got a great solid jab. He throws decent single punches, not too many combinations, but he throws decent single shots. He places them very well. He knows exactly where he is and is out of danger. And Marvin Vettori, on the other hand, is a completely different story. There ain't too much technique with him. There ain't too much patience like Karl Roberson does. There ain't too many leg kicks that are designed to break you down. Marvin Vettori is going to go in there, get in your face and throw bombs and combinations until you wilt and give up, and his pressure makes you give in, and eventually he runs away with a decision. Here's the thing about the fight. I'm going to be picking Marvin Vettori here. I think he's going to win this fight, and I've gone back and forth on this fight for a very long time because Marvin Vettori, one of the huge problems that he has is he sits very heavy on his lead leg. He's very boxing orientated in his style. He likes to go forward as well, and Karl Roberson has got some deadly, deadly leg kicks that he showed in his last fight against an also boxing heavy Roman Kopylov. You know, that was a close fight, but Karl Roberson won that entire fight, in my opinion, based on those leg kicks. Roman Kopylov was doing good with the hands, but Roberson makes the adjustments. He's got that kickboxing background. He knows what he needs to do to beat a certain style. He starts chopping away at the legs, and those leg kicks were vicious in that Roman Kopylov fight, so I think that could be effective for Roberson here. But Marvin Vettori, I think, is going to get the job done because Roberson doesn't seem to like going backwards too much. He likes to have his own range. He doesn't like guys coming towards him. He likes to dictate the pace, control the fight in exactly where he wants it. And Marvin Vettori is not going to let that happen, in my opinion. I think Vettori's game plan here is going to be to push Roberson against the cage, make him constantly go backwards so that if he is throwing leg kicks, he's going to be off balance for your punches that are going to be coming towards his face. Marvin Vettori is going to win this fight. He's going to piece up Karl Roberson for 3 rounds. It's going to be very close. Roberson's going to land some great leg kicks, and I can see Marvin Vettori limping around. Something else I want to note during this fight that we now know, and is kind of a benefit to me making this prediction after the weigh-ins, Karl Roberson missed weight. Not only did he miss weight, but he was given an opportunity to cut for an extra 2 hours, and he said no. That tells me he can't go no more with the weight cut, okay? And I know £1 ain't much, but when you're given an opportunity to win 30% of your guaranteed money back for 2 hours time to drop 1.5 pounds, I think he was 200, not 200, he fights at middleweight, Jesus Christ, that would be Jeremy Stevens level missing weight. We're talking Mackenzie Dern level if that happens. But either way, he missed weight. I think he was 187.5. If you can't shift off that extra 1.5 pounds in 2 hours, you're at your brink. Like, there is no more you can cut. So I think that's going to be a huge factor here, especially during this home quarantine thing where we've seen guys who have struggled with the weight cut in Jeremy Stevens get KO'd for the first time in his career. Well, not the first time in his career, but the first time in a very, very long time by Calvin Kattar. These guys are having trouble with weight cuts without all of their nutritionists and the UFC PI and all of the science labs going on about how they're going to make this weight cut successfully. It seemed to backfire with Stevens. That could be because Kattar is very good. I think Roberson not making weight and not choosing to even try after a given 2 hour period where he could come back to the scales really does worry me. It really does worry me, okay? Because Marvin Vettori had no problems, and Marvin Vettori also had no problems telling Karl Roberson exactly how he felt about him missing weight. This is a very great fight on the card. I need you guys to pay attention to this. Talent stacked between the pair of them. Marvin Vettori went to a draw with Omari Akhmedov. That should be all I need to say in terms of how skilled these guys are. Omari Akhmedov had a tough career at welterweight where he lost to Elizeu Zaleski dos Santos, and I think can't remember who else he lost to at welterweight. I'll check it right now, actually. But he's had a decent... And Sergio Moraes at welterweight as well. But he was cutting a lot of weight there. And since moving up to middleweight, he's beat everyone. He even beat Abdul Razak Al Hassan. That's how talented Omari Akhmedov is. And that's vicariously how talented Marvin Vettori is. He went to a draw with him. Took Omari Akhmedov's biggest bombs. And Omari Akhmedov is a guy who dominated Tim Boetsch. Beat up Zach Cummins, beat up Ian Heinisch as well, and beat him by unanimous decision. This is no slouch, and Marvin Vettori gave him everything he could handle to a draw that was a very, very close fight. Marvin Vettori is a savage. He has that split decision loss to Israel Adesanya. Also, something to take note of with Marvin Vettori is Israel Adesanya does not seem to be done with the beef. Adesanya doesn't like that it was a split decision, I assume. Adesanya doesn't like that the fight was close whatsoever. At least against Kelvin Gastelum, he finished so strong that even if you say it was a close fight, you have to still say, but Adesanya was dominating him at the end. Marvin Vettori had a clear round in that fight. Okay, a real clear round against Israel Adesanya where he was able to control him. Another close round that I think should have gone to Adesanya and a more clear round to Adesanya as well. But the fact that there was a split decision gets on Adesanya's nerves. He doesn't like that, and Marvin Vettori keeps talking about it, and even on Israel Adesanya's live stream, he pokes and jabs at Vettori so much about their fight. It almost seems destined that Marvin Vettori would go forth up the division and get to where Adesanya is. I think Vettori's going to get the job done. I know they're both great on the feet, and to be honest with you, I think this is 50-50 on the feet, which is why I'm giving it to Vettori. Even though he's the favourite in his 50-50, it's 50-50 on the feet. But Vettori is a great grappler. Amazing grappler. A great submission specialist as well. He's got great submissions in his career. In his UFC debut, I can't remember who it was against. I believe it was, here we go, Alberto Emiliano Pereira, who's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Marvin Vettori rips a guillotine in the first round, chokes him out. That's just how it works. Against Antonio Carlos Jr., Marvin Vettori put up a good fight, although Antonio Carlos Jr. was able to control him. Antonio Carlos Jr. does that to a lot of guys. He learns from that. He comes back against Vitor Miranda, beats him convincingly, draws with Omari Akhmedov, split decision to Israel Adesanya. He's had a tough go of things, but recently, he's been on a bit of a win streak, beating Cesar Ferreira, who did choke out Karl Baby K Roberson, which I don't like the sound of, because that tells me if Marvin can completely neutralize the grappling game of Cesar Ferreira and Karl Roberson just gets ragdolled in the first round, there is levels of difference between them in terms of grappling. I just worry that Marvin Vettori is so strong-headed that he's going to be looking for a KO on the feet, because that can happen, and you don't want to be playing that game with Karl Roberson. As much as he doesn't have crazy knockout power, and he actually has more submissions than TKO finishes in his career for a kickboxer, which is wild. He only has 2 KOs out of 9 wins. I think Vettori's going to take this guy down in the later rounds once he's used up a lot of that muscle mass that he has. Fast twitch muscle on Karl Roberson, throws a lot of powerful single shots, and Marvin Vettori's got an amazing chin. I think that if Marvin Vettori can avoid getting KO'd by Adesanya, he can avoid it happening against Roberson, he can take him into deep waters, he can punish him for having such a bad weight cut, and he can grapple the fuck out of him and submit him in that 3rd round. I'm going to go with Vettori by finish, by submission or ground and pound. Regardless of what it is, it's going to come from ground control from Marvin Vettori, because he has the options. In a 50-50 fight, who has the options is something I like to ask myself, and Marvin Vettori has all of them against Karl Roberson. If Karl Roberson doesn't like to stand up, what's he going to do? I ask you that question now. If you think Karl Roberson's going to win, what if Karl Roberson thinks he's not having the best success on the feet? What if things are going wrong and Marvin Vettori's pressuring him backwards and he can't throw the leg kicks because he's going to be off balance, and Vettori's loading up with combos against the cage and Roberson doesn't like it? He can't take Vettori down. He's not going to smush him on the ground whatsoever, because that just logically doesn't make sense to happen. Marvin Vettori has every option, and if Marvin Vettori doesn't like the fight on the feet, if Roberson lands 1 too many leg kicks in that first round and Vettori doesn't like it anymore, he has the choice, okay? Just like Brian Ortega did years ago. Marvin Vettori has a choice to try and take this fight to the ground and ragdoll Roberson on the ground, which he can definitely do if he so chooses to, which is why I'm going to give him the edge in this fight. Marvin Vettori is an absolute savage, and it shows how savage he is because he's a favourite against Roberson. Roberson's a beast. No slouch. Vettori's going to win. And I think he's going to go far. Trains at King's MMA. Great gym with guys like Kelvin Gastelum, Beneil Dariush. Great training partners all round. Also, training partners that are active in the gym. Beneil Dariush fought in March, remember. Kelvin Gastelum's looking to get back in there in July, so I'm assuming he's back in the gym as well. It's an active gym with a lot of fighters that have fought recently. King's MMA is packed with talent. I think Marvin Vettori's going to get the job done. And Karl Roberson, on the other hand, as much as Killer B Combat Sports Academy sounds like a pretty cool gym, I just don't think he's around the killers that Marvin Vettori is every single day. I mean, listen. Marvin Vettori trains with Kelvin Gastelum. I can't think of a better guy to help you rise through a division at middleweight than the guy who took Israel Adesanya to the closest fight he's had since he joined the rankings. Marvin Vettori's going to go out there. He had the game plan for Adesanya and he wasn't afraid to take him down. I don't think he's going to be afraid to take Roberson down either. He is a bit of a bully though, which is the only thing I worry about with Marvin Vettori, and the only reason I worry about putting my prediction on him at all, is that his mindset is so rude and bullyish, you know, that he wants to finish Roberson on the feet here. I know he wants to finish Roberson on the feet, but I think that he's going to take 1 too many leg kicks while doing so, and he's going to want to take this fight to the ground, and eventually Roberson, after that severe weight cut that he couldn't make weight for, is not going to be able to get up, just like it did against Cesar Ferreira, and Marvin Vettori is going to pound him out on the ground and win by either unanimous decision if Roberson can survive, or I could see I'd actually hazard on Vettori getting a finish here in the 3rd round. Once Roberson's used all of that explosive energy that he has, he does tend to slow down if he doesn't control the pace. So Marvin Vettori, being a great pace dictator that he is going to go out there, put the pressure on Roberson, make him work in those early rounds, and eventually smother him in the 3rd and get the TKO finish. And the winner of this fight, in my opinion, should get the shot against Omari Akhmedov. If it's Marvin Vettori, do the rematch. We need to find out who's better. It was a draw last time, even though I thought maybe Omari Akhmedov could have won that fight. It was a draw last time, razor close as well, but if I had to give it to someone, I would say Omari Akhmedov won. But either way, if he wins this one, rematch him and Akhmedov inside the rankings, and if Roberson wins as well, give him to Akhmedov as well. Because it's amazing, because Roberson has fought... Listen, I'm just saying this. Marvin Vettori was 24 years of age when he fought Omari Akhmedov. No, Marvin Vettori was 23 years of age when he fought Omari Akhmedov. If you are 23 years of age and you can go to a draw with a Dagestani, you're different. I think Vettori might even be champion in this division. I think Roberson has every chance of being champion as well. And the winner of this one is going to be off to the races, cruising towards that title. And I think it's going to be Marvin Vettori. Great fight though. One of the best fights that we've had in a very long time. And a sleeper fight for sure. Pay attention. It's going to be a good one. I can't wait for it. They're both amazing fighters. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Marvin Vettori by TKO or submission in the third round once that explosive energy from Roberson is gone and the weight cut that was so failed starts to kick in. Click that button there. Goodbye. Like and subscribe. See you later.